Kane states that he would have difficulty distinguishing a person from an NPC, and it is implied that he has already made this mistake. This is proof that Pomni is AI. The idea that a person was mistaken for an NPC or vice versa is true and implied. However, this does not specifically apply to Pomni. The statement made by Kane and the conclusion we draw from it as viewers can be applied to any of the characters, even Kane himself. This means he may be pointing to Pomni, but there is no specific indication of her, so it's a weak connection at best. Pomni has a scene with Gloink, who we know is an NPC. The scene shows a strong parallel and emotional connection between the two characters, implying they are the same. Therefore, if Gloink is an NPC and they are the same, then Pomni is an NPC. Additionally, Gloink calls Pomni a character, further indicating her non-human nature. The scene shows a strong parallel between these two characters. However, I believe that the intentional parallel is that they both are experiencing very similar, if not the same, set of events and emotional reactions. They were forcibly removed from the world they knew and are now stuck in a new world, questioning their existence and desperately seeking a way out, or even just a direction to go. Pomni has progressed a bit further in her journey, so she can emotionally relate to Gloink and comfort him. This scene is meant to show how far Pomni has come emotionally in dealing with her new reality, despite it only being 2 episodes. Suggesting that they are literally the same, rather than being on the same journey, seems like a bit of a shallow reading of the events taking place. Additionally, Gloink calls Pomni a character because he is from the Old West. Any interesting or unusual person you came across back in those days was called a character. Although the meaning of this word has changed over time with the increase in fictional works, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to assume that it's a regular part of Gloink's vocabulary. I suppose it could have a double meaning, and that would be clever. But the double meaning does not specifically point to AI in any case. In the 2nd episode, Pomni has a nightmare where Ragatha notices that Pomni is not made for this. If you look at it through the lens that Pomni is AI, this may refer to her current iteration not being good enough. This evidence only works if you already assume the previous idea that Pomni is AI is true. This is even almost admitted in the video. This phrase can very well relate to Pomni's own insecurities and her problems adapting to her current situation. Additionally, you have to remember that Ragatha does not say this phrase. Pomni says it in her own mind. Pomni could have dreamed that any character said anything, and it wouldn't affect the canon in any way because those characters never actually said those things. They were just manifestations of Pomni's inner thoughts. I don't believe this line points to AI in any way unless you want to make it about AI. When Pomni enters the digital space in the 1st episode, she knows almost nothing about the world she is in. But the next morning, now in the 2nd episode, she has a better understanding of how the world around her works. This may be due to her being able to reprogram or iterate her program overnight to gain more knowledge about how things work. This is just learning or mental adjustment. Pomni arrives confused and traumatized and, after an entire day, does her best to come to terms with everything happening around her. These traits and actions are not exclusive to AI, iterative or otherwise. Yes, they can act this way, but so can humans. Also, note that the lines clips they show in the video to display her newfound understanding show Pomni being unsure. Everything she says is phrased as a question or stated nervously because she is either only learning these things or is doing her best and trying to confirm it with the characters around her. The other characters, primarily Ragatha, are also literally walking her through this for almost the entire 2nd episode. It may seem like she is learning these things rather quickly, but she is in a very tense and sudden situation. Learning everything you can about what surrounds you is a basic survival technique, so she will be mentally chewing over every bit of information she can get. Pomni, despite insisting that she really doesn't know what's going on here, demonstrates a good understanding of the meta-functionality of the digital world when trying to escape from under the map using Gloink. This means that she knows things she thinks she doesn't know, as if her AI brain is well-versed in the functions of the codes around her, and she herself is unaware of it. I don't think the knowledge is derived from being AI. We know, or at least assume, that in Pomni's human life she was part of the team working on the digital circus. If she helped create this digital space, even if she wasn't a programmer or level designer, she would 100% know the basic digital jargon like glitches, collisions, and what an untextured surface map looks like. If she demonstrated some knowledge of programming like hacking or deliberately accessing some secret digital information, then it could be questionable. But what she demonstrates is quite simple and probably something she already knew before. She is also unsure of the information she speaks about. It's just a guess. But when you are locked in a box, even an average Joe like me might think to try to drive through the wall with an easily accessible truck to try to escape. The first action Pomni takes upon entering the digital world, even before she has a chance to get her bearings, is to run to the exit door. In addition to the thematic connections they share, this further ties Pomni to Kaufmo, supporting the idea that Kaufmo, with a similar clown theme, is a previous life iteration of Pomni. Additionally, several other doors of previous characters also seem to have a clown theme, as if there were a line of clown-themed characters, like an interactive AI. Despite the many parallels between these two characters, I don't think Pomni running to the exit is such strong evidence. Pomni was dropped into an unknown place. Objects are chaotically swirling around her. Her body feels different. She is so scared she remembers nothing. She is very afraid, very much so. Then an exit appears. And note that it's not an ordinary exit. It's an emergency exit. It would make sense if she subconsciously moved towards this symbol of safety. We were all forced to do fire drills in school and watch safety tapes at work. A red fire exit door is something to turn to in any dangerous or threatening situation, so of course Pomni would immediately recognize it and try to escape the new frightening situation she found herself in. This is very human. I do think Pomni's arrival time is suspicious and it's worth investigating, but I don't think it's because she is literally Kaufmo. Also, the clown theme among the door portraits is absent. Looking at the images they show in the video, only the far left door shows a character who is definitely a clown. He has a red nose, red lips, and a blue ruffled collar, very clown-like. The middle door might be some kind of large creature. It has antennae and large eyes. The far right door is 100% a dinosaur or perhaps a dragon. While the last two are certainly colorful, they are not clown-themed or even circus-themed at all. We would need to see full character models to be sure, but I feel confident based on these images. So, at most, there are 3 clown characters, including Pomni. The video addresses the jester versus clown issue, and people in the universe confuse them, so we count her. And for a digital world where the hub is called the Circus, 3 clowns out of about a dozen characters is not that many. 3 is the absolute minimum for a pattern, but in this case, its existence seems thematically justified. The final part of the video is entirely based on the idea that Pomni is AI, and it is a speculation about where it will lead the story. I have nothing to say about this section since it's just discussing what might happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with this theory either. As mentioned before, these theoretical videos are just fun ideas that may or may not have merit. They don't tell you what to believe when faced with media materials. So, if you want to believe in this theory, go ahead. I just personally don't think the argument presented was very well thought out,